When I was 16 years old, I heard the word venture capitalist for the first time and I thought, wow, that's the coolest job in the world. You sit in a glass office, founders pitch to you, and then you write a check. Companies become unicorns and you get rich. I mean, that was my entire understanding what a VC does. I'm 22 now. I work inside a startup in Bangalore. I have sat in investor meetings. I have seen term sheets. I have watched how capital actually moves. And I can tell you the reality of how you become a VC, what a VC actually does, and what it takes to get there is nothing like what 16-year-old me thought. So, this video is for my 16-year-old self and for everyone who's ever said that I want to become a VC without really knowing what that actually means. Okay, first, what even is a VC? So, a VC raises money from institutions, pension funds, endowment funds, and family offices. These people are called limited partners or LPs. The VCs then invest this money into early stage startup. The goal here is to find the next big razor pay, the next sector, the next cred, bag them early, own a piece of their equity, and then exit when there is an IPO or the company gets acquired. Sounds very simple, but here's what's actually happening inside a VC firm day to day. A VC analyst, which is the most junior person, spends their mornings on Twitter and LinkedIn looking for startups nobody has heard of yet. Afternoon is pitch meetings, 3, 4, sometimes 5 in one day. Evening is writing investment memos, which are documents explaining why this startup is actually worth backing to convince the partners of the firm. And yes, saying no to 99 startups out of the 100 that reached out to them. So that's the job. Not writing checks, mostly saying no to the startup. Okay, I'm going to grab something. Just give me a second. One cold coffee. So VC doesn't invest their own money. A VC is investing other people's money. Okay, let's consider a fund for example. Let's take a fund that is of 500 crores. This 500 crores is coming up from pension funds, institutions, endowment funds, and large family offices. Now, a VC is basically managing that money and invest it into a startup. And for doing so, they charge a fees, which is 2% per year. This fees is called the management fees. So on 500 crores, 2% is 10 crore rupees per year before making any single investment, before any allowing any single investment to perform. And if the fund does well, they take 20% of all the profits that they earn. This is called carry or carried interest. So VC analyst earning 15 LPA today, if they stick around and make to the partner and the fund has a great exit, the carry alone would be life changing amount of money. And actually that's the real upside of being into VC, not the salary, the carry that they get. A VC analyst in India makes somewhere around 10 to 20 LPA. Associates makes 20 to 30 lakhs, principals make 30 to 50 lakhs, and partners 1 crore or more plus the carry. So the money here is crazy, but getting there takes time and a very specific path. And this is the part every one of us wants to know. How do you actually break into a VC firm? The honest answer, there is no straight path to it, but there is a pattern. Almost every VC you'll ever meet in India took one of these three paths. Path 1, investment banking. Work 2 to 3 years at an investment bank. You learn financial modeling, deal structuring, how to read a business, and then you can lateral into a VC. Part 2 is consulting. McKinsey, BCG, Bain. You learn how to think about markets, industries, businesses, and same, you can move after 2 to 3 years into a VC firm. Part 3 is startup operator. So you worked at a high growth startup. You understand the unit economics, growth, product from the inside. In fact, some of the VCs actually prefer this over banking. Then almost always, every VC that you will meet in India would be an IIT or an IIM graduate. So I am Ahmedabad, I am Bangalore, I am Calcutta, ISB Hyderabad. These are the recruiting grounds for Peak XV, Excel, Bloom, Lightspeed. They all hire heavily from these campuses. But here's what the research actually says, and this is the most important thing in this video. The most realistic way to become competitive for a VC is to start acting like an investor before anyone pays you to be one. Write investment memos publicly on LinkedIn, on Substack. Pick a startup, for example, Zepto, Razorpay, any company that you find interesting, and write a 500 word analysis. Why this is a good business? What are the risks? What what would happen if you invest the money? Do that 5 to 6 times publicly, and you've already outwork 90% of the people applying for the VC's job. Because VCs are looking for one thing above everything else, that is judgment. Can you spot a good business? Can you articulate why? And do you think like an investor? So you can prove that before even setting up your foot in the VC office. Okay, now coming to the realistic part. VC, to be honest, is one of the hardest industries to break into the world, not because you need to be a genius, but because of how small it is. A typical VC firm has 8 to 20 people. That's it. When someone leaves, which is rare, they hire one person from their network almost always. In India, there are over 1200 VC analysts and associates position, but most hiring is relational. You need to know someone who knows someone to get into VC. Which is why, if you are 16 or 17 and you want to be a VC when you grow up, the single most valuable step that you should take right now is build relationships, not transactionally, genuine relationships. Follow VCs on Twitter, engage with their content, write what they write, go to startup events in Bangalore, Delhi, or Mumbai, volunteer at some pitch competitions, reach out to founders not to ask anything but just to learn. So you need to try to be physically, digitally, and consistently active in the VC ecosystem. I am 22, working in a prop tech company, not from IIT, not from IIM, not from Goldman Sachs, but I am in the room. I am seeing how capital moves in real time. I am building relationships with founders and investors, and I'm writing and creating content around finance publicly. I think that's the path, not a straight line, but a consistent direction. You don't need to be in a VC firm to start thinking like one. So, if you want to be a VC, here's what I'll tell my 16-year-old self: understand how businesses really work. Today, in this AI world, the most important thing is your judgment. To learn not from the textbooks but from watching real companies making real decisions. Learn to read the financial statements, understand what makes a business defensible, why is someone investing into a startup when they're investing? Know the difference between revenue and profit, growth and sustainability, and build in public. Write, share, create content, what you've been learning. The best VCs I've ever seen are the ones who had a point of view and aren't afraid to share it. As office and the checkbook, that's the end of a very long journey. Want me to go deeper on any part of this, how we see funds actually work, how term sheets get negotiated, what investors actually look in a pitch, let me know in the comments. I'll make a video on it soon. I'm figuring this out in public. You might as well figure it out with me. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.